Hey Warriors, today we're turning up the volume and tuning into something personal, powerful, and healing. This episode isn't about lab results or diagnosis codes. It's about something deeper, something that carried so many of us through the worst nights of our lives. Music. Music has been the medicine when our bodies couldn't take any more pills. It's been the background noise to our breakdowns and the anthems to our breakthroughs. It's not just entertainment. It's survival. In today's episode, we're diving into the soundtrack of chronic illness, the songs we lived through, the lyrics that understood us before anyone else did, and the rhythms that reminded us we're still here. I'm Gwen, your host of Empowerment in Illness, the podcast that brings light to the shadows and hope to the harder corners of the chronic illness journey. We all have that one song, the one that played quietly in the background after a devastating doctor's appointment, when you sat alone in your car and couldn't bring yourself to drive away, the one that somehow matched your heartbeat as you cried into your pillow, too exhausted to speak. Or maybe it was the one that found you in the silence, reminding you that you weren't crazy, you weren't dramatic. You were in pain, and that pain deserves to be felt. Music has a way of becoming our secret language. It speaks when we can't find the words. It carries our tears in the rhythm, holds our rage in the chords, and wraps our loneliness in melody. It doesn't ask us to be okay. It just meets us exactly where we are. And for those of us with chronic illness, that's a rare and beautiful thing. Sometimes that one song becomes our anchor, our anthem in the storm. Not because it fixes anything, but because it reminds us we're not alone in what we feel. It becomes a quiet witness to our battle, a sacred space where we don't have to explain the weight we carry. And in those moments, those aching sacred moments, we realize that hearing your own pain echoed in a song is the greatest relief you can find. So, the next time a song makes you cry or dance or pause, know that it's speaking directly to the part of you that's still healing, still hoping, still human. What's the one song that understood you when nothing else did? Let's talk about the different kinds of pain and the different kinds of songs we reach for to survive them. On flare days, when my body feels like it's burning from the inside out, I crave softness. I reach for slow, delicate melodies, songs that feels like they're tiptoeing into the room, respectful of my pain, instrumental, ambient tone, or voices that whisper rather than shout. These songs don't demand anything from me. They just exist, gently holding space for me to breathe through the fire. They become my comfort when even speaking feels like too much. But then there are the days when I'm angry. Not irritated, angry. Angry that I have to explain myself again. Angry that my medication betrayed me. Angry that a doctor looked me in the eye and told me it was all in my head. On those days, I need sound that fights back. I blast songs with thumping bass lines, screaming guitars, and unapologetic lyrics. Music that matches the chaos in my body and validates the frustration that polite society doesn't want to hear. Because sometimes being angry is part of the healing. And then there are the quiet days, not pain-free, but still, days that feel like a heavy sigh. That's when I go to nostalgic songs that take me back to a time before my diagnosis, or songs that remind me of who I still am despite it. These aren't escapes. They're reminders that I've survived every bad day so far, and that's not nothing. There's no right soundtrack to illness. There's only the truth of how we feel in each moment. Our playlists are living, breathing, emotional timelines. Joy, sorrow, rage, acceptance, longing, survival. Each symptom teaches us a new tempo. Each emotion becomes another song on the mixtape of our lives. Our bodies might betray us, but music never does. It simply reflects what we're too tired to say out loud. What kind of music do you reach for when your symptoms are screaming? Music has this wild, almost magical way of freezing time. It captures a moment, not just the sights and sounds, but the feelings too. A single song can bring back the sterile scent of the hospital room, the weight of a loved one's hand resting in yours, or the split second your entire world changes with a diagnosis you didn't see coming. The second you hear it again, you're transported, not just in memory, but in emotions. It doesn't ask your permission. It just opens the door. There was a time in my own journey when everything stood still. I was confined to a bed for weeks, too weak to eat, too restless to sleep. I couldn't tell you what day it was, but I could tell you what song was playing. That one song was my anchor. It was the only rhythm I had when life felt like an endless blur of IV drips, dark ceilings, and unanswered prayers. While my body unraveled, the melody held me together. It gave me something steady when everything else was crumbling. Music is more than sound. It's a time capsule. It wraps itself around memories and emotions like thread through fabric. It helps us revisit the moments we try to forget and the ones we never want to lose. It's how we measure not just time, but transformation. Every note carries a piece of our story, our victories, our grief, our fear, our faith. And perhaps, most importantly, music reminds us of our evolution, of who we were before illness touched our lives, and of who we're becoming now that it has. It holds up a mirror not just to the past, but to the possibility of a future that still holds beauty. It shows us that even when our bodies change, our spirit still sings. What memory does your illness attach to a certain song? Some of us sing, some of us write. Some of us just hum to ourselves in the shower, not even realizing the release that's happening in those quiet moments. It may be off key, it may be whispered, it may never leave the four walls we're in, but that's sound. That's your body speaking. That's your soul processing pain. Creating sound, letting music out of your body, it's a form of healing that doesn't ask for an audience or applause. It's personal, sacred, and deeply human. You don't have to be a trained musician to experience this. You don't need a fancy studio or even an instrument. You just have to pause long enough to listen. What does your pain sound like when you let it breathe? What does your healing sound like when it starts to rise from the ashes? Maybe it's a shaky voice cracking through tears. Maybe it's a strong rhythm tapped out on a table when you're trying to ground yourself. Maybe it's lyrics that haven't been written by anyone else yet because they were always meant for you. I remember when I started journaling phrases that came to me during my darkest nights. These weren't polished lyrics. They weren't pretty or poetic. They were raw, honest. Things like, I'm still here. Scribbled again and again until I felt like a chorus my heart was trying to remember. That became my personal anthem. No music, no melody, just survival on a page. And even if no one else ever hears it, that song saved me. This kind of creation is liberation. It's how we give shapes to feelings too complex for casual conversation. It's how we reclaim part of ourselves that chronic illness tries to silence. So don't worry if it's not perfect. Don't worry if it's never shared. Just let it out. Because the moment your pain becomes sound, it also becomes story. And that story deserves to be heard, even if it's only by you. If your body could write a song, what would the chorus be? You know, something I haven't done yet, but I think it's time, is ask you to share your songs, the ones that carried you, the ones that lifted you out of the bed when your body said no, the ones that helped you cry, helped you laugh, helped you fight. Because this episode isn't just about my soundtrack of survival, it's about ours. Music connects us across diagnosis, across states, across experiences. You may have lupus, and someone else may have fibromyalgia, or MS, or long COVID, but somehow the same song speaks to us all. Maybe it's the lyrics, maybe it's the beat, maybe it's just the feeling that somebody, somewhere gets it. So here's what I'd love to do. I want to create an Empowerment in Illness community playlist, a living, breathing, healing collection of the songs that have helped us survive. Whether it's gospel, hip-hop, country, lo-fi, metal, or pop, I want to know what has helped you. What helped you through that flare-up or hospital stay or panic attack or diagnosis day? Take a moment right now, warrior to warrior, and think about that song, the one you go back to over and over again. Then send it to me. You can DM me, email me, or tag me on social media and tell me why that song means something to you. Let's build this playlist together, not just for us, but for the people who come after us, for the newly diagnosed, for the ones having a hard week, for the ones who feel like no one understands, because this community, we do understand. And sometimes all it takes is the right song at the right time to remind someone that they are not alone. What is your chronic illness anthem? What's the one song you want someone else in your community to hear when they're struggling? One of the first songs that marked my journey was Standing in the Need of Prayer by John P. Key. The lyrics say, "It's me. I'm standing in the need of prayer. Not my mother, not my sister, but it's me, O Lord." This song tells a story. Not too long ago, I returned from Charlotte to North Carolina, where a baby had a rare disease. She had 2nd and 3rd degree burns on the inside and the outside of her body. The mother told me the doctor said they have done all they could do. The doctor told the mother, call the family in. He was preparing them for the worst. I said call the family in so we can praise God for what he was getting ready to do. He healed the baby. That story felt like mine. I was lying in the hospital bed when the doctor told my mother to call the family in. He was preparing them for the worst. But my family gathered and they prayed for me. That was over 30 years ago, and I'm still here. Every time I hear that song, I remember, and it still resonates with me today. There have been so many times I've wanted to give up, but then I heard "The Battle is the Lord's" by Yolanda Adams. The lyrics, they still make me cry. There is no pain Jesus can't feel, no hurt he cannot heal. All things work according to his perfect will. No matter what you're going through, remember God is using you, for the battle is not yours, it's the Lord's. There's no sadness Jesus can't feel, and there's no sorrow that he can't heal. Hold your head up high, don't cry, it's the Lord's. If you live with an autoimmune condition or a chronic illness, you know what it feels like to walk through unbearable pain alone. But those words, they remind me I'm not alone, and neither are you. Sometimes, when my joint aches so bad I can barely move, when walking feels like a chore, I sing Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. With a hip hop, the hippie to the hippie, the hip hip a hop, but you don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie. So up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie beat. And I laugh. I move my hips even if they hurt. That song brings me joy in the middle of pain, and sometimes that's enough. Another song that hits deep is Live Like You Were Dying by Tim McGraw. The opening lines say, I was in my early 40s with a lot of life before me, and a moment came that stopped me on a dime. I spent most of the next days looking at the x-rays, talking about the options, and talking about sweet times. If you live with a chronic illness or autoimmune condition, you know exactly what that feels like. One moment you're planning your future, and the next you're staring at test results that changed everything. Your life, your priorities, even your identity shift instantly. That moment on a dime is real for so many of us. But what makes this song so powerful is what comes next. I went skydiving. I went Rocky Mountain climbing. I went 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu. And I loved deeper, and I spoke sweeter, and I gave forgiveness I'd been denying. And he said, someday I hope you get the chance to live like you were dying. That right there, that's not just a lyric, it's a mantra. We don't have to wait for life to be perfect. We can start now. We can love deeper, speak sweeter, forgive more freely, even in the face of illness. Especially in the face of illness, we can choose to live fully. Your diagnosis might have stopped you on a dime, but it doesn't have to keep you parked. Let these words remind you, live like you are dying. Don't let your illness stop you. There are so many more songs that keep me moving and thriving. Songs that walk with me through the emotional tolls these conditions throw at us. Music that gives me space to cry, space to laugh, and sometimes space to simply exist. This isn't just about melodies. It's about memories, mindset, and movement. Before we leave, I would like to close with a special portion of the show I call Healing Heartbeats. This is where we allow ourselves to wallow in sorrow. Give yourself 3 minutes to laugh, cry, scream, cuss, or just sit in silence. Whatever you need to do to feel it, do it. Let the depression in for only 3 minutes. Once you've reached 3 minutes, compartmentalize it and get back to living. This is a rinse and repeat behavior. You cannot let depression take over, because when it does, it will not let go. When we hear about the passing of someone, they have the day they were born and the day they pass away. There is a dash in the middle. It's not a long line, but a short dash. That dash represents your life. Go live in spite of having a chronic illness. Don't let your condition stop you. Your body might be broken, but your voice still sings. Your pain might be loud, but your joy has a rhythm too. Let music hold what you can't say. Let it dance with your grief. Let it harmonize with your healing. You are the composer of this life. And your soundtrack? It's brave, it's raw, it's real, and it's beautiful. Music is life's sacred language. The rhythmic sounds we hear in harmonic tone speaks to our soul. Music connects us and teaches us about love, loss, resilience, and passion. It wraps around our scars like a soothing balm, making sense of emotions we can't put into words. A single note can unlock a memory we thought we buried. A chorus can bring us to tears, not out of sadness alone, but because we feel seen. Through music, we grieve the life we once had and celebrate the strength we've built in its place. For those of us living with chronic illness, music is more than a soundtrack. It's a survival guide. It paces our breath when anxiety flares. It gives our body rhythm when they feel out of sync. It lifts us out of isolation and into communion with others who know this struggle, this fight, this song. So when words fail you, let music speak. Let it cry when you can't. Let it scream when you're tired of being strong. Let it whisper peace into the chaos. Because music doesn't just accompany us, it empowers us. Remember, you have the strength, the heart, and the support to continue your journey. Be safe.